You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the...
Check into cash.
Turn your car into cash at Check Into Cash.
Get an auto title loan today for up to $2,500.
At Check Into Cash, you get the most for your car, and we make it quick, easy, and confidential.
Stop in for an auto title loan today or a payday advance for up to $425. Call toll-free 877-262-CASH.
Title loan amount determined by value of car and ability to repay. Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can see us and hear us there, and also have a little online chat going on there. Deb, tell us about what's going on today.
Well, good morning, Ron. It is August the 30th, 2014, Labor Day weekend. This time last year, Ron, we were over in the mountains in Dawsonville on Sunday and Monday.
Recording a little dirt track history.
And what a year it's been since we recorded those interviews that day, and we've written a book, and we put out the DVD, and those are still, by the way, available down at the Museum Center while they last.
All right. The exhibit, they said, was one of the biggest exhibits. They doubled their attendance during that time period, they said, and got new memberships. So the dirt track exhibit, thank you for all you people who went out to see it. It was
it will encourage the museum to do
more local
stuff. I couldn't find the words.
More good old boy stuff too.
Yeah, that's kind of. I was trying to figure out how to say that correctly.
Arnold, I know you and I talked.
We have Arnold Tarpley with us today, and we're going to be talking about Polk County, probably up on the mountain a whole lot, because we've been up on the mountain here lately, doing a lot of recording and talking to some people. And Arnold's family.
We'll go from Conisagi, as my grandpa would have said, all the way up to Springtown and Delano, and there's a few places I don't know what they're called yet, but we're going to find out today. But Arnold and I was talking last night. We went to the Cleveland-Cookeville game, and the hot dogs were very good there. I have to always
say. We missed the hot dog report on Thursday night.
Yeah. Well, Ron said the other night he had planned to go over and watch Bradley play, and that's kind of a long trip to get up and come in on Saturday morning. He said,
we just couldn't get out of the office in time either.
And he said, "That's okay. I'll go to Cleveland. They have good hot dogs."
They do. So but we were talking about dirt track racing. The September 19th
is the target date.
It's a target date for them to start running at the Cleveland Speedway. Deb and I live in that area there, so we drive by it every day, 2 or 3 times a day.
I will tell you, they have put in new bleachers. They have put in ramps so that if you have a walker or a wheelchair, it's handicapped accessible now. They have brought some dirt in and fixed the track. They're fixing a place over there on the wall that's been walloped a few times and has a whole bunch of dirt.
Is that a technical term? Walloped?
I'm sure it sounds like
they took out the old white boards up there, and they put it up with new boards around there
and a new fencing around the top.
And I even heard they was going to clean the bathrooms.
Oh.
Oh, no.
And so, that will be something different for the Cleveland Speedway over 60 years.
Well, I just really appreciate the fact that whoever bought it is really putting forth an effort to make it something that Bradley County can be proud of.
And targeted on what we do sometime our early shows, where we do about 45 minutes before we come on. Chad Elliott and I've talked. He's sort of this track manager, I think what his official title is. He's going to come on and do a 45-minute thing the Saturday before they opened up the next Friday. So he'll come in and
watching
tell
for
you
that.
that and tell you everything that's going on, and maybe we can get to what the pricing structures will be and like that. But
I
I know
say
they
if
are.
everybody goes out once a year and supports them at least once a year, they will stay open. Now, the good thing is they had been open 59 consecutive years until this year, and we thought they were going to miss their 60th year, but they're going to manage to get it open before the season's over. So I guess we can say that they've run 60 consecutive years.
And also, we've noticed that the local dirt tracks in the area now are starting to work together and plan events so they can bring in these bigger races and have them here 3 nights.
And Boyd's is offering overnight camping for the drivers, and they can come in and camp on their property so they can stay in the area cheaper than a hotel, and so that they can afford to race. Down at the Museum Center, Arnold, Ron and I went down Thursday night for the grand opening of their new exhibit, and I can't even explain it. It's some folks out of Georgia who the grandfather, the father, and the son are all wood carvers. And it's not like, Indian statues or anything like that, but they make those big wooden bowls
Oh, okay.
and vase-looking things.
Yeah.
And somewhere, I'm so sorry that the grandpa has passed and left us, because he's the one that invented he fashioned his own tools. He figured out how to make it work, how to make the wood not crack. And the guy that was talking the other night, I think their last name is Muldrup. The fellow that was talking the other night, when one of the big trees in Chattanooga fell, that was such a big deal, he went down and got some of that wood. He also got wood from the Auburn tree that had been poisoned, and they left the bark on that one, which was interesting. But
Here on Good Sports, we talked about the Auburn tree and the dude who poisoned them, and
so
I'm surprised they didn't give him the electric chair in the
It's
lower part of
surprising that they
Alabama. Of course,
didn't.
the upper part of Alabama is saying, "Oh, that's great."
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about Polk County just in general. Anything about it you want to talk about it? Over the years, and it brings to you can go, and of course now, politically incorrect. There's above the mountain, below the mountain. I understand that the politically correct now, that is East Polk County and West Polk County, I'm told.
Yeah.
Me and you just still going to call it above the mountain.
Yeah.
And different.
You can reflect that from the names of the fire stations.
Yes.
Fire departments.
They're definitely going to be 2 different cultures there. Going back, everybody heard of the Battle of Athens, of course, when the Good Government League took over there. And that was a pretty big event. Well, probably 2 bigger events were.
I'm hearing that our volume is too low.
Our volume is too low? Try that. How's that?
Okay.
Is that
They'll
better?
let me know if that's better. They're saying that the whole thing is too low and they can't hear it.
Because there's probably a button not pushed somewhere. Who knows?
Okay.
Every time we come in here, there's something changed. Okay.
Okay. We'll try that. And if we're,
Well, it's pegging us out here in the thing, so as long as it's all right there. So, all right. So anyway, in the area of Polk County, there was 2 Good Government League battles that took there, which were a whole lot more intense and
let's
deadly.
explain what Good Government League was.
Okay.
When we had local people that were, I won't say monopolizing how things were being run and how things were being done in the community. And when these fellows came back from World War II, they said, we've been over there fighting for freedom for other folks, and we're not going to let this stuff happen here. And so they basically took the law into their own hands. Now, I'm not saying either side was right or wrong, but I will tell you that as we were recording the local histories in East Polk, I had 2 women that started talking about this, that they basically remember when these incidents happened, and it was pretty interesting. And they said, we thought government was run like this everywhere. But they had incidents where the ballot box left the mountain coming down the river road, and it was hijacked, and the box was taken, and then the next morning it kind of mysteriously showed up in Benton, and the votes were kind of heavy on one side.
Well, there've always been jokes, and a lot of it's joke, and some sad moments of where there's ballot fixing in Polk County. I think our DA right now for the area is actually investigating some
some questionable tactics.
Boat buying and stuff of that nature. So, not just because it's Polk County, Hampton, anywhere, but in McMinn County, the sheriff they'd actually pull over buses coming through the area.
This is in the 1940s.
Yeah, after the war, and would arrest people and make them pay a big fine and put them back on the bus. And then, of course, you voted, and then, of course, in Polk County, I won't mention all the names because all those families are still very prominent in Polk County, but. They would stand at the ballot boxes or at the polling places and with clubs and things and intimidate voters coming up. One of the things. So anyway, the Good Government League in Polk County in those two locations that are not as well known as, but probably a lot. They actually killed people. They were people.
Well, not massive.
But they were.
There was a sheriff's
Nobody
deputy,
died in the Battle of Athens.
Frank Clayton was called to he thought he was going to a bar fight or something.
Yeah.
When he got there and stepped out of his car, he was ambushed. They thought that was part of the Good Government League, or this is what these ladies were telling me in Polk County. And then there was I
can't think of all the names.
It's a judge or somebody like that that was killed in his driveway, that was shot. But there were people that were wounded for trying to stand up to it.
I think the Polk County Historical Society has done an excellent job of documenting this, and there was actually, I think that the Good Government League showed up to the courthouse and escorted the county commissioners and told them they had a sort of a choice: die or leave.
Let's see.
And most of the commissioners
What am I
were
in the
smart
mood
enough
to do today?
and left, and so they took over the courthouse. They took over the sheriff's office. And the governor's office actually called down to the courthouse and said, "Hey, we hear you're having a problem. Do you need help?" Of course, he didn't know he was talking to the people who had seized the courthouse. And they told the governor, "Oh, don't worry about it. Everything's under control." So the governor didn't send the National Guard and the state police down here immediately. But luckily, when I say people died, 1, 2, 3, 4 people in Athens, which is a lot bigger. The Battle of Athens resulted in a lot of gunshots and blowing up things and stuff, but there was never anyone died there. Matter of fact, the sheriff eventually surrendered himself, his deputies, and the ballot boxes from the jail, and that sort of ended that thing. So little unrest coming out in the area. So I just wanted to let everybody. So if you can't hear us, don't mind. I guess it really matters, does it?
And what you're talking about, my dad always talked about an incident where one of the sheriffs up there passed away. Of course, Dad was a teen at the time and was not really into the politics and things of that nature. So I'm thinking that that incident's probably one of those things that he was remembering but never really knew anything about. So it's it would have been a big deal even for a kid at that time to actually hear about it or know about it going on.
That is. And now you had a grandfather actually worked in the mines, or great-grandfather worked in the mines?
My grandfather actually worked in the mines from the time he was a kid. I've never really heard for sure exactly how much my great-grandfather worked in the mines, but he was listed as a farmer miner. So I know that he originated out of the farming community up there, and my great-great-grandfather owned a farm there around Morganton, and that's where he would have grown up, the Morganton hothouse communities.
And then your grandfather actually died from the result of a explosion in the mine?
Yeah, the sulfur explosion, I think, in 1943. He was involved in that and caused the injuries that he would eventually die from. It basically ate up his lungs. By the time 1947 rolled around, he basically couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm. Like I say, we're working on a documentary of the people of Copper Hill, not about the mining except the mining will come into it, but having birthday parties and there would be no trees behind you. It's sort of unique to what we do. And Deb told an interesting story from a guy I interviewed who was saying that he lived about 5 miles outside of what the Copper Hill Ring was.
He lived over in North Carolina.
And so you had trees and animals and bugs. And then when you came into Copper Hill, it would be warmer, and you wouldn't hear any bugs because there was nowhere for the bugs to live, and there was nothing for the bugs to eat. There was no wildlife there. I mean, it was totally different than what any of us. Even if you grew up in the city, it was totally different, But you would think, why would it be hotter? There's no shade. There is no oxygen being produced by the plant. So, yes, it would probably be hotter there.
I think one of the interesting things, too, that we've heard in the interviews is that they'd say that for a half a mile, they'd send the kid to the store and somebody could stand out on the back porch and watch him go across those
just
red
go
hills.
up and down into the valleys through there.
And Dad could walk out and whistle, and the kids could hear it for, a half a mile away or something crazy because there were no trees to stop it. And it was just kind of rolling hills, and it echo and all kinds of stuff. But it's pretty interesting to hear them talk about there were no night sounds of the bugs. There were no rabbits or squirrels.
Or snakes.
Or snakes. Snakes, that's a big thing. They said, well, there were no rats for the snakes to eat, so therefore there were no snakes. And basically it's kind of like living in a bubble or something.
Well,
but they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved the way it looked. They said there was nothing more beautiful than sunrise and sunset with it shining on their desert. They call it, although a desert technically is a place where it gets no rain. They got too much rain was some of the problem.
Yeah. One of the interesting things you talk about, the picture I brought of my father when he was 12, 13 years old, and he had his 2 cows. They didn't have a corral. They didn't have fences. They turned the cows loose and just let them roam during the day. And Dad would always talk about, as a kid, his job was to look after the chickens, look after the cows, since he was the oldest son. And he would go to what he called Little Mountain, which was the big ridge or peak right there outside of Ducktown, and go up on top of that every day and look and see which hollow the cows was in, then go down to get the cows and bring them home.
Well, I think that's something that the kids around here did too. Was Jerry Frazier and his family members that came in were talking about that they go down to what's Hillcrest Cemetery now. They go and put their cows in there during the day and let them eat the grass, and then I guess that's the weed eater of the of the day.
I think it's safe to say that most yard mowing was done by farm animals somewhere or another.
Well, we can go about the mine, but just talk about overall Polk County, just some of the topics you talk about. Well, you start, with the Polk County, then you got the
it's an amazing
the
place.
Ocoee River. Then we had Caney Creek, and you have the dam system that was.
Oh, Caney Creek. Okay.
Excuse me, I'm not as official. The river coming down there. Then you have Jacks River. Then you have Conasauga River. You have the Gin Slough. You have what else do we have? Easley Ford. Yeah. Busted Rock. You had to learn how to swim under Busted Rock. So that's just down on the south end. Then you had Conasauga Lumber Mill, Conasauga School down through there. They used to make I never get the fabric they made down there. Big bedspreads. What do you call that?
They made the chenille bedspreads.
Yeah.
And that eventually
Chevron. I was going, that's not right.
That eventually turned into the rug industry.
Yeah, right. And then you come on up, and then
Tinga had an airport.
You got Silico, and then you've got the Dutch settlement was up on the mountain, which is a totally different utopia type world that they were going to make grape and wine out of there. And
they were going to make grape. They were going to grow grapes and make wine, and they were going to segregate themselves from the rest of the world. Probably at the time, it was probably a pretty good idea.
Well, they did a good job.
But then they had some really pretty girls up there, and that segregation stuff didn't last very long.
But they did pick a very remote spot.
They did,
and
people ask me about that all the time, and I think you really have to know where it's at. And there's a few foundations. Not just stones and stuff. There's not anything there to see.
Well, then the Kimsey Highway. Matter of fact, Deb interviewed a guy who said that you didn't. There was no river. There was no river road. You came down the Kimsey Highway down to Cleveland. So what we know about the river road now is nothing. It was a trail. Even in the 1900s, it was a trail. So a lot different. Hey, you can call us here at 614-5553. If your family lived or lives in Polk County, if you have an interesting story about any area of Polk County. And we don't know where the bodies are buried and any of that stuff.
Now.
Well, let's hope they don't call us at least. Good morning, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron, Deb, and Arnold. How you doing?
How you doing?
Hey, Bullet, can you hear us okay this morning?
Yeah, I can hear you okay, but I think there's something going on. I think you got a little static. I don't know what's going on, but I can hear you fine, but I just got static.
There's one of these lights. It's lit that shouldn't be, or one that's not should lit. Or Deb, you have a picture of the board there?
Okay, I'll pull it.
We'll match that up here. Well, go ahead there, Bullet.
Yeah, Ron, I just want to say that my brother wanted to I will make a comment about what my brother said about you. He said you're a gentleman, and he said you take time to shake his hand, and that meant a lot to him. People can learn lessons off of you.
Well, I had something on my hand. I was trying to get it cleaned. No, I try to talk to everybody that I can, and I appreciate the people that come up to, Arnold and I sit there together. They come and talk to about the radio shows that we do and things of that nature, and asked us about, the show we used to do on WTMB, and asked about all that. So we, I appreciate it, and everybody come talk. And people ask me about Old Town Cleveland stuff all the time too.
Anyway, you're talking about. I had an adventure now. Now, is Lakeshore High considered on top of Polk County Mountain?
It's on Chilhowie Mountain, I believe. It's actually the name of the mountain.
Well, I actually took a date up there one time back in '73, and we was smooched a little bit or something like that. And all of a sudden, this here Girl Scout troop come up on us. Now, my question is, what was the Girl Scout troop doing on Lakeshore High Mountain? I actually bought some cookies from them, and
they were asking the same thing what you were doing on Chilhowie Mountain.
Well, this here Girl Scout troop come up on us, and I bought some cookies from them, and that kind of that's all I'm about to say about that, I guess. But anyway, Polk County is a...
Yeah, you go ahead there.
And I ain't going to mention her name because she'll probably kill me, I guess. But how'd you like the game last night?
It was pretty good, but we...
They're over here trying to figure out which buttons need to be pushed. So.
Can you hear us better now?
Yeah.
Can you hear us better?
Well, I can hear you fine, and the static's not as bad. Let's see.
Well, how's it working out there?
I think it's sounding a lot better out there now.
Okay. Well, we'll put you another button and somebody else calls us. The game was Cleveland has too many injuries. That's all there is to it. And I think after they get some of those injured players back, that they'll be a different team. They had some abilities. They're going. And they run into a buzzsaw in Cookeville that Nick Johnson was just a great running back, one of the better ones I've seen in a while.
Ron, I really think this game's going to help them for next week. I really think we're going to see. Well, McMahon's not that good this year, I don't think, but I think Cleveland's going to win this game next week because Crawford's going to look at the films, and I think he's going to come up with something next week.
Unfortunately, I think for McMinn County, they're down a little bit. But McMinn Central is up, so I don't want to take that anything away from McMinn Central either. But I think you'll see that Cleveland will get their first win.
Well, you and Arnold and Deb have a good day, and it's good talking to you, Ron.
All right, thank you. You're listening to Whoop FM, we hope. It seems like every week we have some button or something broke. Last week we didn't have power. We got another call. Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, good morning, Ron, Debbie, everybody. This is R.D.
Hey, R.D., how you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Can you hear us good out there on the radio?
Whatever you did here a minute ago, drop the static a little bit on the radio.
Okay, all right. So we there's some combination that's not pushed over here, but every day that we come in here, the buttons are all different. So
you know how it is. Curious fingers cause.
Yes.
So, hey,
our fingers that don't know what they're doing.
Go ahead, R.D.
Two things for you. Back in the mid-'70s, 75, 76, I used to come with a group of people, young folk, of course I was 15, 16, out of Dixon County, west Nashville, where I grew up. We used to canoe the Hiwassee and then ride up River Road, canoe the Nottahala. And we would go through Copper Hill at that time, and the fellow in charge, he spent a lot of time around there, and he always referred to the Copper Hill area as the Great Eastern Desert.
Yeah.
And he told us, he said that it was, and I don't know if it's true, he's been making it up, but he said that the astronauts had reported that they could see that from space, that just denuded gap.
If you go up to the museum up there in Ducktown, they have an overhead picture of it from outer space.
Well,
have you been to that museum?
No, I haven't. I haven't been down there. I used to work a lot in Polk County, and I don't get down there very much anymore.
Well, you just really need to take an afternoon and call and check their schedule, make sure that they're open. And they have a great little, probably a 10-minute video that kind of informs you of what you're looking at. And then they have a nice little selection of pictures and artifacts and things there for you to look at. And it's real cheap. It's a state park. It's like $4 or something.
Well, I'll take my mom and dad down there.
Oh, they would love it.
And then you get to stand and look, too, at the big pit that's there.
Oh, really? That'd be cool. So,
and it's not as close as you think it is.
I used to do a lot of work down there, but I just remember those trips down there, just going through there, and we'd get out and stand, and I'm like, where this is terrible. Just no red dirt hills and nothing, and then I watched it. We moved here in '88, and I've watched it come back, slowly. Those hills being.
Well, the irony is that when I was up there trying to video in the buildings at the mine, I kept having to move and wait for it to rain or do something because they were outside sawing down trees to clear off a field.
We've been told by the people who are the experts up there that they lost 6 layers of earth to erosion and went down the Ocoee River, and so the level it got to was just basically almost a bedrock.
Yeah, I've always heard that East Tennessee's got the finest topsoil in the world. Unfortunately, it's all in the Gulf of Mexico.
That may be absolutely true.
But the second thing is due to my work, I'm a telephone man, and I used to and you'll find this is a little old information, but you may find this still. Back in the mid-'90s, I used to service the Polk County government, the county building and the old jail and all that. And in the Polk County government building, on what I call the bottom floor on the north side, is the telecommunications room where all the cables come in. And there was a big PBX phone system in there. Also in that room was an old wooden, like the old library card catalog files, the wooden, whatever you call that, with all the little drawers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then, you had a lot of free time, and I probably wasn't supposed to, but I'd poke around through those drawers. And there was all kinds of old information on people, arrest records, incident reports, just all kinds of old information from their 20s, 30s, 40s on up, and people where they'd been caught with a pint of whiskey, fined $5 and let go. I don't know. I haven't been in that room in almost 20 years. I don't know if that catalog file thing is still in that room. But if you got some contacts, maybe look around, you might find that. But it was some pretty cool information. Being a history buff, I'd dig through that and look at the, look at this, And,
well, we'll just have to give Mayor Firestone a call here and see if we can't get him to let us down in that room again.
So, it's I just thought you might find that interesting. But I'd fond memories of when I was a teenager, just going through that area, and it was really a good time of my life. And you go from the lush vegetation going up River Road, and all of a sudden pop out in this just denuded red wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see it's coming back. That is good.
Well, they've done a miraculous thing. Even I think that the frogs in Potato Creek now only have 2 legs.
That's a fine thing. They don't walk on their hind legs.
Not anymore. All right.
Hey, but I can't help but think that all that lack of vegetation probably contributed to the bad flooding they had there in McKaysville and Copper Hill that one year. It had to. So.
Well, it definitely. I don't know if it.
I don't know if that really, because most of that flood came from upstream.
It was just a huge amount of water in a little bit of time. Matter of fact, one of the guys on that we recorded told a great story about that. At the time, he was running a store in downtown Copper Hill. And someone called him and told him that he needed to get down to to his business, that the water was coming into town. Well, by the time he got there, he couldn't get the door open. The water was so high, so he went upstairs to the apartment complex and told the people that was living in his apartments that they needed to evacuate, that there was boats outside to take them out. And he was still trying to get downstairs to get his books and his cameras and all that stuff out. And by the time he came downstairs, the boats were gone, and he had to spend the night upstairs in that store building while the flood was going on, and the water came up 9 feet inside the first floor. But he said there were appliances floating down the street, and whole tables full of goods out of those stores and things, and cars were moving and all kinds of stuff. And he said, and his camera was downstairs, and he couldn't get to it to take great pictures. But that was a pretty interesting story. But that was an incredible flood. I remember seeing on the news a freezer from, one of those stand-up freezers behind a restaurant going down the Ocoee River, and there were appliances all up and down the river road.
Well, I'm sure. I went to the recovery about 3 weeks after Hurricane Katrina. I spent some time down on the Gulf Coast working. And if you're ever in a flood, get inside a refrigerator, man. I swear, them things float. I mean, there were thousands of refrigerators everywhere. I mean, just in the trees. I mean, thousands of refrigerators. So apparently, you can just lock yourself in a refrigerator.
But now, RD, I'm a pretty big guy, and if I got inside the freezer, I'm afraid it would sink.
You need one of them walk-in freezers.
I need a big one. That's right.
All right, y'all take care.
Thank you, RD. You're listening to Whoop FM. You can call us here at 614-5553. We're talking about Polk County, Tennessee today. Any areas of, Springtown is the north end.
Yeah.
And then Kimsey Mountain, Chilhowie, Parksville. Man, we just name all those areas. Bean Station in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes, I just wanted to say about Polk County. My grandfather was the doctor over there till he died in 1941.
Oh, yeah, what was his name?
Dr. W.A. Trevena.
Trevena, okay.
Trevena, T-R-E-V-E-N-A.
Now, is he the same Trevena family that would have been named after the school here in Bradley County?
Is.
Okay, yes.
He donated it.
Right. That's why I'm.
Also, before he became a doctor, he worked in the mines up in Copper Hill, and then he came down and got to go to school. But I don't know. I'm just kind of proud of him. I never knew him because he died the year that I was born.
Do you have any pictures?
Do I have any?
Yes.
I have some of him.
Well, that's what we're doing a documentary about the people of Copper Hill. Predominantly. So if he worked around the mines, we probably need to get a picture of him.
What do you think he did in the mines?
I'm not sure. I've just got an article that we got from over in the library at Polk County telling about him. And he was from England. His family came from England and over here. So I'm not sure exactly when he was born, but I do know he died in 1941.
There's a reunion coming up of the Trevena School people who went to Trevena. That's coming pretty soon. And if you'll listen to this program, Ed usually calls us and tells us about it. So maybe Ed's listening today, and he'll tell us about the Trevena reunion. And that way, maybe you'd want to go to that.
Well, now, if I'm not mistaken, they spell that Trabena, but it's Trevena, Tre. So...
That's just one of those things. It's the same. We all know it's the same thing.
But I'm sure there's a lot of older people that are listening that remember him.
I'm sure. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you for calling in, though.
You're welcome.
All right. Goodbye. Other areas of Polk, of course, downtown Benton. What I'm trying to think. My mind went blank now.
Old Fort.
Old Fort
is there. Some of the areas up above the mountain people don't talk about, like Turtletown.
Isabella.
Yeah.
Go ahead, call. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, I just caught the last part of the program. What's today's? I heard y'all kept talking about Copper Hills.
We're talking about Polk County overall, and we get into Copper Hill or Condasaga or Springtown.
Or whatever you want to talk about.
Or if you want to talk about Copper Hill, go ahead.
Well, I live in Cleveland. I'm from Dauphin originally, but both my grandparents worked in the mine. My parents grew up there. But anyway, not to take much time, but I've got some independent work of my own going up there in Ducktown. And so I see the people with a mine every single day. And you guys may know about this when you're up there. But anyway, they got grants now from the state to refurbish every single building at the mine up there.
Right.
I love it.
Which they're underway now. Of course, and Miss Moore, you may know, I think you told me when you were up there, they were clearing that land, they're restoring the ball fields back.
I do, and I have a great story about the ball field, if you got a second to listen to it.
Absolutely.
When I was up there those days this summer when it was 100 degrees, and I was in those unair-conditioned buildings, by the way, and they were doing all the clearing work, they were actually clearing off the old ball field where generations of people had played ball. And in between one day I was recording and the next time that I went up there to record, they had unearthed the metal home plate.
Oh, wow.
And the people in the town were absolutely thrilled that old relic, thank goodness whoever was driving that piece of equipment realized what it was. Must have been a local fella. And it was the talk of the town. Everybody was so excited, and they said just to think that their dad and their grandpa had thrown balls over that plate, and it was made in the metal shops there in the mines, and they took it straight to the museum for it to be preserved and to be on display. And we were all really excited about that. And then he told me, the same guy that was telling me all about it, said his great uncle was the umpire up there, and the games got a little heated every now and then, and he carried a .38 under his chest protector.
Well, that's where all that.
Just in case.
Every umpire today does the same thing.
You know, that's baseball there.
That's baseball. But and to have those men on film talking about that home plate and what it means to them was really emotional.
I can imagine. I'm up there a couple of days a week, and they're still contractors from Nashville, but they're using a lot of local workers, and they take pride in anything that they find. And then, secondly, what I was going to tell you is, I can't remember the curator's name up there at the mine, but they
Ken.
are Ken
Rush.
That's correct. To raise awareness, they are having tours in the buildings that they don't normally allow folks in to kind of raise awareness of all the work that's going on there. So if you go up and take the tour, I think it has to be the Saturday that you do that. If you go on a Saturday, you get to tour the buildings that aren't normally part of the mine tour.
Well, they put me in the archives, and I had a real hard time behaving myself because I really wanted to open those drawers and look and see. But they have tremendous numbers of maps. Thankfully, when they closed the mines down, someone had enough sense about them that they didn't trash all that stuff. And so I was in one building, I don't know, a 30-foot long building, Ron, maybe 15-foot wide or something. That's nothing but filing cabinets and map cases, and those archive boxes. And
that's when I was allowed to go in there, and they showed me the names of both my grandparents, which was pretty neat. And I'll tell you this too: my grandfather, I'm 48. My grandfather was 74 when he died 15 years ago. He had pay stubs from the mine. When he was, before he passed away, I was shellacked on the board, and I can remember a 60-hour week, and this was from a vague memory. A 60-hour week was like $4.50 or something like that.
And he was proud to get it.
Now, do you have pictures of your grandfather working during that time period?
I don't. We're trying to find some of those now. In fact, we're getting a family reunion going up there because both sides of my family, both my parents are from there, and all of us cousins we're all in our late 40s and our 50s are getting ready to go up there and do some research. And then I'll tell you a quick story I'd heard all my life and I was able to confirm. But my grandfather used to tell me, stories aren't always accurate as they progress through the years. And he said that at one time when he was there, they had 3,800 employees. And when a man would retire, everyone gave $1. Now, just telling you a man brought home each week less than $5 to give $1 out of that's quite a bit.
That was the retirement plan.
Yeah, but that's a lot of money out of your check, but that is actually true. They would take that money, and what was typically done with it was they paid their house off and bought a vehicle.
I think the saddest thing that I've heard are the people telling me stories about when Grandpa got killed or when the dad of the family would get injured beyond working.
Yeah.
They'd have to move out of the company housing. They'd lose their job. There was no income, like Social Security has for us now if you get disabled. So they really, it was do or die kind of thing.
One story. I won't mention the name because I don't have a permission to do so, but a very well-known doctor here in town who grew up there. If I mention his name, all you guys would know him. I do a lot of work with him. He lived that story. His father died when he was in the mine working when he was 8 years old, and I think he turned 60 this month.
Is he a dentist?
Yes.
Okay.
You know him? talking about.
I know my stuff. I haven't talked with him yet, but I'm going to. But
You need to.
I'm going to. Matter of fact, the last time I was up there, one of the people I was interviewing was telling me that, and I knew who he was, and I couldn't believe that I had never, I had never heard that story before.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up now. I want Debbie to get your number here because we're doing stories about the people of Copper Hill, not necessarily that. So I'm going to take you off the air here. And if it hangs up, you call right back. And I'm going to take you off. You can talk and give your number now. Go ahead there. You're listening to Whoop FM 99.9. This is Old Town Cleveland. And you can go to www.whoopfm.com, and you can call us here at 614-5553. Got Arnold Tarpley in here with us today, the star of Good Sports. And they come on every Thursday night. What the times?
6 to 8.
6 to 8, and they talk about the first hour is
generally high school.
High school, then the second half is college football or college sports, and during non-football season, they talk about NASCAR and
whatever anybody wants to bring up.
The recruiting and all that stuff. And
we even take a stab at horse racing from time to time.
Yes. And when you mention that, I have not heard from our good buddy Doug, the bad actor, and I know he had been a little under the weather, but we have not heard from him. So, bad actor, if you're out there, we are thinking about you. Matter of fact, that's Arnold and I talked about you last night at the ball game. Some of it was good. So if you're out there, give us a call, and if you can get in, the lines have been busy this morning. Other parts that like Polk County, the river, Parksville Lake was the first man-made lake in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
When I say man-made, not in a little pond, but man-made lake.
Major dam construction for commercial purposes, essentially for electricity production.
And pretty amazing. That was done long before TVA was created. That whole dam system affair, it was pre-TVA. And I understand reading in some books yesterday is that about 1.5% of Polk County is underwater.
I would probably agree with that.
I go, that's a pretty big hunk now.
Well, even more so is the hunk that's taken up by the National Forest, which is almost 2/3 of the land area of Polk County.
Yeah, that was I didn't know how much it was, but it is 2/3, right?
It's roughly about 2/3 of the land area is covered by National Forest. Now, this is not like National Park. There's a difference right there. National Park is like the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and you have nobody that lives within that national park except for one individual who is, by quirk of fate, got a piece of property that's still surrounded by National Park. National Forest is not quite that exclusive. There's still pockets inside the National Forest which is privately owned by different individuals. So, or like around Parksville Lake, they have the cabin sites for the rich and famous, we'll just say. But it is a national forest, and 2/3 of the land area is covered by that. So, while Polk County is actually larger than Bradley County, the actual occupied land is probably far less than Bradley County. And
a lot of it is non-agricultural land because it is mountain. Yeah. And, when you get down, I guess the Benton area is probably the flat part.
The flat part, that's
down
the most.
Through Conesaga, coming back and away. And then but it's just a valley runs down through there.
Yeah. And you have places like over Reliance. There's some areas in there where you had some mountain farms, some pretty large acreage tracts, 100 to 200 acre tracts in there that could be farmed. But the biggest portion of it was mountainous. I know my be sure I get this right. No, grandfather, I think it is, owned about 300 acres up above Reliance for a few years. And I've been onto the track, and there wasn't 300 acres up there to farm. You're probably doing good to get 40 to 50 acres that you could actually farm out of that 300.
Yeah, and then that farming may not be as rich as what we learned in Sergeant York, the bottomland.
Right.
That story. But does the Cherokee National Forest pay anything to the county of Polk County, and
they do pay
some kind of reimbursement for their land?
They do pay in lieu of tax, which I don't know what the exact amount is, but I can promise you it's probably not anywhere near what a normal property owner would probably pay, even with all the different ways that you can get your taxes reduced when you own large acres of tracts.
Yeah, and I know there are a lot of wildlife refuges up there also.
The area across the lake, the Big Frog Mountain area,
Big
is
Frog
actually
Mountain.
a bear preserve.
Big Frog and Little Frog, both, isn't it? Both of them. Silico.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Conestoga and Jacks River's part of that refuge, moving into North Georgia.
Right. Like I say, now, do you know where Busted Rock is in the Conestoga River? It's a large rock, and there's about 20-foot tunnel underneath that rock. And I never did swim underneath it. I did do that. And the Gin Slough is where you used to drive your car down into the Conestoga River in Washington. And then Easy Ford, where you jumped off the bridge. Or you had baptisms down there. Matter of fact, I've got a picture of a baptism from Conestoga. And we got another caller here.
With two models sitting up on
Good
top.
morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello, Rod and Debbie.
Good morning, Miss Ella.
Where are you at?
L.A.
L.A.? I love L.A.
Lower Alabama?
Well, you were in Iowa or Idaho earlier.
No, I'm in Los Angeles.
Well, what are you doing in L.A.? Are you trying to get into movies?
Well, I got on the bus yesterday morning at 10 o'clock, and I'm here already.
Oh, so you just got there.
Yeah, that's the quickest I ever got here.
Well, it sounds like you're half asleep.
Well, it's because my son got a mine.
Do what?
My son
She's online.
On mine.
Oh,
Okay.
So,
Well, Miss Ella, we miss seeing you around Cleveland.
But anybody followed you out to L.A.?
really, yeah. I don't know if Mark did or not, but the guys there have.
Oh.
They ain't gonna let me rest.
There's no rest for the
Well,
weary.
where do you drink beer at in L.A.?
Huh?
Where do you drink beer at in L.A.?
Well, I'm right here at the bus station right now.
Just wherever you are.
Miss Ella drinks beer wherever she is. Well, hey, you be careful out there in L.A.
Bye, Miss Ella.
You leave Brad Pitt alone.
Bye-bye. Thank you for calling, honey. Bye-bye.
Speaking about drinking in Polk County.
Where do you drink? I'm
the
at the bus
Pines. Don't
Yep.
you everybody remember the Pines right there on 411?
Yep.
In the Pines. That's not that song, but it sure did think of that.
Yeah.
I used to hear
Ron
stories about
launches
the Pines.
into
I go,
song.
oh, yeah, in the Pines. But
Now, Brian that just called, that's the kind of call I like to get. He takes old materials and makes new things out of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's refurbishing some houses in Ducktown. He, I think he nearly cried when I told him that one of the old barns in Black Fox was taken down last week.
Yeah.
But now I will say,
it didn't have much choice, though, did it?
the termites are horrible beasts. They're just beasts,
But
and they just eat up some of the best things around. But
Some of it is being used to restore something else, so
yes,
and so that
the old hand-hewn logs were salvaged out of the building and are going to go to a new structure. And that always makes me feel a little bit better, but I sure do miss that little barn that was down on the Easterly farm.
It goes back to the old saying, what is old is new.
Yep. Well, I always feel better when it's refurbished, but, somebody like Brian, if they had known, they would have gone down there and gotten the rest of it. I realized that some of it was over 100 years old, and those parts were saved the best that they could, but some parts were 60 years old.
Yeah.
And it sure do make pretty things.
On Facebook, one of the Mayfields, I think it was Jim, posted a picture of the old Polk County Courthouse that we had put on, and then he put a picture of the new Bradley County Courthouse side by side, and boy, was something we're missing there, and that's and the movie Wild River. Mrs. Garf says that's called progress.
Progress, yeah.
And when the things change like that. So we're talking about Polk County. Calls here at 614-5553. If your family lives in Polk County, if you swim in the Busted Rock, if you've been in the mines, if you're from Springtown and Delano, and I'm leaving out Silco, if you've ever walked up to the Dutch settlement, if you've ever run into a bear in the woods.
Are there bears in the woods?
And if you have seen Sasquatch, in Polk County.
I wanted
Give
to
us a
say
call.
before we get another call that Benton got its name from a fella, I believe his name was Thomas Benton, and he had a bit of a disagreement with Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
And Jess and his Jess Benton was the brother, and Thomas Benton, I believe, had a duel with the president somehow, or a fight. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Andrew Jackson was wounded, along with the brother was wounded too. I think somebody lost a thumb in the shooting escapade, and then they became later in life best friends.
Sometimes some shootings can cause that.
You shoot a man's thumb off, you got to become his friend. Yeah.
But that's how Benton was just kind of named after him. And, of course, Polk County was named after James K. Polk, who happened to be the governor at the time. And he happened to be the person that was signing all the land grants, too. A lot of the property in Benton was granted to people for their service in the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. They were able to, instead of the government owed them money, and instead of waiting to collect monies, they took this mountainous property. The property up around the river in Ocoee, once the property was put into the Ocoee district and was sold off, the mountainous region around the river was considered property that you could do nothing with, and so it sold for a penny an acre.
What you got here, Jeff?
Oh, Jeff came in with a box of
Jeff
food.
has food. This is my hero from the Old Cafe over at the Oasis.
This moment of silence is brought to you by the Old Cafe, because Ron's going to open that box.
And the munching is brought to you by Ron getting into it.
Ron's digging.
Oh, my gosh,
digging.
guys, look at this.
What is that? I can't see it. Don't dump it out on my book.
These cheese sticks?
No, sir, those are hash brown sticks.
Hash brown sticks.
Them are good. Go ahead, Zeb. Them are good.
Ron's got me tickled. That's what we need to get for your mom that eats hash browns 3 times a day.
Wait a minute, caller. I got to get this. Go ahead, caller. I'm done chewing.
All right. Sounds like fun.
Go ahead and talk. I'm going to eat a while.
All right.
Who are we talking to?
It's David.
David, go ahead.
I've been listening off and on as I've been running around town all morning. Have y'all mentioned the Hildebrands?
No. Go ahead and talk about them.
I think that was one of the most amazing stories in all of Tennessee history.
Yes.
The man took his knowledge of geography and became basically a millionaire in the 1800s.
Yes.
He would take the barges out of the Tennessee River, take them up the Hiwassee, up the Ocoee, just about to where the old 411 bridge was on the Ocoee, and take them overland to Conasauga, put them in the Conasauga River, go down to the Tom Bigby and go to Mobile, and then over to New Orleans and cut like 2 weeks off the trip.
You know, the Cherokee at one time, before the white man invasion, I call it, had decided that they could build a canal. I'm sorry. Ron and Jeff are misbehaving. They could build a canal from the Ocoee River to the Conasauga River, and that would have made a very quick way for people to get their merchandise and stuff to the Gulf of Mexico. And it was a brilliant idea, but even at that time, it was going to cost like $1 million or something. And I think they saw the handwriting on the wall that they were going to lose this land. And so they didn't do it, but they talked about that. Wouldn't that have been interesting to see that now?
Well, that's basically what the Tom Bigby Waterway did over in West Tennessee, or actually in
That's right.
Alabama and Mississippi.
That's right.
But his business savvy.
Now, is the Hildebrand house still standing?
As far as I know, it is.
Is that the one that's at the Ocoee Bridge?
No.
No.
No, it further down. It's been moved about 3 times in my lifetime.
Where is it?
The last I knew, it was down off of Ball Play Road.
Up towards Jack River and Conasauga?
Right, over that way.
Okay.
Okay.
But now, like I said, I know it's been moved at least 2 or 3 times. And it's been bought and sold several.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fort. What a wonderful treasure for us to have that little piece of that fort from the pre-removal times left. And bless its heart, it just gets moved from one place to the other. About every 25 years, somebody moves it. It's at G Creek now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and thankfully, well, I think it was sitting down, close to the old jail. It was where the school was at. Of course, it was at Old Fort for its lifetime. And it was moved to the school, and then it was moved to the new school, and then it was moved to where the jail's at. And then they decided that they just couldn't protect it there because there wasn't anybody there to watch it. So they moved it to G Creek, and it was refurbished. And they did an excellent job on it. They put a new roof on it, which is the life of the building. If you don't keep a roof on them, they go away immediately. Right. And you can still see the holes where they would look out and, I guess possibly shoot out of. I don't know. But it's there at G Creek in the parking lot of the ranger station.
Okay.
And someone got a big grant and refurbished it.
That's great. There's so much history in Polk County.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be preserved and recorded. People like Roy Crabtree, J.R. Lillard, Miriam Presswood, they've done a great job of keeping it alive, but the younger generation has got to take over and make sure it stays.
That's right. Now, Miriam Presswood keeps the historical library up there open for probably the last 20 years. You can call them. You can find the number. It's called Polk County History and Genealogical Society, I think, and it's right there close to the post office. And you can call and make sure she's there. She just volunteers, so she's there just 2 or 3 days a week. And most time you can go in and mention a last name, and she can tell you all about them.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Polk County. I'm not from there, but I was raised there.
I understand. Mm-hmm. What part did you grow up in?
In Benton Station.
In Benton Station. Now, was that a railroad station?
At one time, yes, it was. When we first moved up there, the station building was still there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Benton was kind of a busy place back in the day, in the 1840s and 50s, because it was on the old Federal Road, and it was also on the old Stock Road.
Right.
And there was a lot of action going through there.
And then, of course,
then the railroad came through.
And then the copper business, and then, Polk County was just set to go.
Well, and then the building of the dam. I mean, there's been some amazing things that have gone on up there.
There's some interesting articles you read about from the Boston Times of how many tons of copper had just been shipped from a little town in Polk County, Tennessee.
Well, now, when I was in school, it was still producing, and it was the biggest production mine east of the Mississippi.
Yeah. David, what's your last name?
Gamble.
Gamble. You need to come do our show with us sometime.
Well, I love to talk.
Well, hey, then you're perfect for this show.
You got it.
Particularly if I can be eating while you're talking, it's really good, David.
Well, I'll compete with you on that eating.
Well, we'll take turns. You grab one, I grab one.
But David, the strangest thing that ever happened, we were sitting here yakking one day, and somebody walked in and set down a quart of moonshine.
Well, then you'd have been talking a lot better.
Yeah, that's it.
We were happier.
That you were hiding came out.
Woo!
Well, thank you, David, so much for calling. And like I say, Polk County is an amazing place, and just the places. Like I say, I grew up. My grandmother's and grandfather lived right across the line down 411 in the big city of Tinga.
David, the Hildebrands, were they related to Nancy Ward?
I don't think so. I know he was part Indian because he lost all of his business instead of having to be removed.
Okay.
He gave all of that up
to
stay.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the Indian family that was down in Conasauga? There's a sign down that McNair.
Yeah.
Or is it Nair? McNair? McNair. That's an interesting story too. He was an older gentleman, had a younger Indian wife, and they had children, and he had passed, and the children had taken their mother to Fort Cass to remove her out west because she was having to move because she was Indian and they'd lost the property and all that. And bless her heart, she died. And David McNair, I believe was the name, and they requested to take their mom home and inter with the dad, and they went down and they did, and that's on Sheriff Davis's property, I believe.
Okay.
And they had the graves covered with rocks there for a long time, and the McNair house stood in Conasauga to the 1950s, and it was blown down by the tornado.
Right.
Now, Conesaga, I know that loosely related in Cherokee means wild horses.
Strong horses.
You got to be careful how you type that in your newsletter. If you leave out like an S or something, it comes out interpreted totally differently.
One of our friends says, Ron needs to check his spelling. I don't think that's what that word should be. Well, thank you so much, David. And if you'll call us back right after 12 and let me get your number, seriously, we'd love to have you on the show sometime.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hey, folks, it's time for us to take a small break, and we'll be right back.
Ron has hash browns in his lungs.
Now I've got chicken now. There's chicken and this is what a day. What a day. Only in America, folks. And that's the old cafe down there right at as you go into Inman Street and the historical downtown, the Oasis gas station there. They have a deli in there called the Old Cafe, and they have very good chicken strips and potato strips there.
Yeah.
Because we're trying them right now. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And the song we play before we come back is called Gone Home, for all those people that have gone on.
We lost this week.
And so this is in their honor. We'll be back in just a minute.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Check into Checking to Cash.
Turn your car into cash at Check Into Cash.
Get an auto title loan today for up to $2,500.
At Check Into Cash, you get the most for your car, and we make it quick, easy, and confidential.
Stop in for an auto title loan today or a payday advance for up to $425. Call toll-free 877-262-CASH.
Title loan amount determined by value of car and ability to repay. Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
If you need a little green, Lending Frog is making deals. He'll lend you cash on any kind of wheels. Borrow just a little, or you can borrow big. Lending Frog is a new financial gig. It's hip to hop into cash. LendingFrog.com is making a splash. Dig it, dig it. Dig it, dig it.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rentals. Same great folks, same great service with a better location to serve you. Call Wheeler Technologies for voice, data, and security needs at 664-TECH. That's 664-8324. And remember, depend on Wheeler Technologies for the current time and temperature every day at 476-1111. Tennessee Alarm Contractor C1750.
All of my friends that I loved yesterday have gone. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. The songbirds are singing, the dell seem to say gone. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as their work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home.
We play that song each week in dedication to all those folks who've gone on and left us. And we always say a lot of history left us every week when someone dies. So take time to record those people. Polk County was originated in 1839. The first district of Polk County was taken from what was known as McMinn County, and the rest of Polk County was Bradley County. So Bradley County lost a huge hunk of property back in 1889 after it had been formed about a year. Right? Is that,
well, and the first settlement actually was Columbus.
Yes.
And that was on the northern banks of the Hiwassee River, and it's 4 miles north of present-day Benton. And it was actually part of McMinn County, and it was moved.
Now, wasn't Columbus where, didn't a Boy Scout troop trace the Indian Trail out of Columbus all the way through Bradley County at one time, and they marked it, but we can't find any of those.
We can't find any of those little metal markers. I think they were just kind of tacked up on trees, and it came over at Union Grove. I guess it's a Church of God out on
Bates Pipe.
Yeah.
And then it goes over towards Patterson Road off Durkee, towards Spring Place, and that.
And actually, the oldest tourist we know that came to Polk County was the DeSoto in 1540. He came through there and also came through, there's pretty good indication that he came through McDonald too at the present day location of Bendabout Farms, and was there where the iron waters, all the mineral waters were, which kind of reminds me, Ron, Mineral Park was torn down a few weeks ago.
And that some memories, and some people are glad they're gone.
Yes. In Ducktown, we were talking about Ducktown a while ago. It was originally known as Hiwassee Town. That was its Indian name. There was a chief there that his name was Duck. I kind of think his name meant duck in English. Yeah. It was an Indian name, and it's kind of like Plateau or something, and they changed it to Duck. And then also Turtletown had a chief there named Turtle, and so it was just kind of like we call Black Fox, we call that Turtle.
Okay. Hey, go ahead, call you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Robert Bob Cash.
Hey, Bob Cash, how are you?
I'm thoroughly enjoying your program this morning. You're talking about one of my favorite subjects, Polk County, Pingy, Georgia.
Yep, you know a little bit about that area too, don't you?
Oh yeah, I love it over there. And matter of fact, I would like, if anybody knows anyone, I'd like to buy 2 or 3 acres of ground over there in Polk County somewhere.
All right, so anybody's got any land for sale? Do you want it down on the south end, north end, or where do you want it?
Well, I would like a round 411 highway there around Old Fort. My brother lives over there.
Okay, that'd be a good place. Old Fort, Tennessee. If you have some land at 3 or 4 acres you want to sell, Bob's got a lot of money. Just give us a call.
Let's just hope he has enough money. Yeah.
What I was going to do is I was going to talk to Red and see if she'd go in partners with it. She just, pay it all up front in cash.
And you'll pay her back?
I'll mow the yard.
All right. So, Red, you've heard you've got a great deal there. You pay for all of it, and then he'll do all the maintenance work that he can.
And, Rob, I'm going to take your suggestion next week. I'm going over to the Polk County courthouse. I renew my license, driver's license over there every time I come to. And I'm going to go in the register of deeds and find out, if I can, about who owns that property for my great-great-granddaddy and grandmama land was. And as I say, I'd like to try to purchase the cemetery plot there.
Yes.
I'll let you know how.
And Bob, when it gets a little bit cooler and the snakes are gone, I want you to take me to that little cemetery.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bob.
I'll be happy to. And I'll talk to you later.
All right,
Bye-bye. Ron, I want to announce real fast that the Knights of Columbus are doing their biannual Boston Butt Barbecue sale.
That's a good
And
thing,
it's going on today, and you can go up by St. Therese Church until 6 p.m. tonight. Even if you haven't ordered something, you can go by and check
We
and
went
see if they
last
have.
year and they'd sold out.
We went last year late, and they had sold out. And so don't let it fool you. If you get there and there aren't many cars in the parking lot, there may only be one or two people there working.
But there's butts inside.
inside.
Okay, I just want to get that clear there.
And they have whole pork butts, 4.5 to 5 pounds for $25. Chopped pork butt for 3 pounds for $30. And then you can buy their special sauce too. Go
Wow.
by and support them. There's a list here of about 25 things that these folks support, all good causes.
And great. And usually the farmer markets are still going on. It's getting a lot of different type of crops coming in this late now. At the Tractor Supply, they've been there. I know JR and Bird Dog's been there with fresh milk.
JR's girl.
And then over on Peerless Road, the farmers market's there. So
And to be going strong today.
Yes.
That's right. No, Bobby Orr always has stuff out on the highway.
Now, I've got a list of not all, but a lot of the post offices that
Now, the
been in there.
difference between Polk County and other places, like here in Bradley County, almost every time the post office was named after the person that ran it. You'd have Felker, and you'd have, help me out here, Harrison. They're just McDonald. They're people's names. But in Polk County, it happens to be an area. Some of them are names, but some of them are areas. But tell us what some of those are, Ron.
Well, it's pretty interesting. There was Appalachia,
Which is up next to the dam, I'm sure.
Archville.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Archville? Wait a minute. Archville, it's over close to Caney Creek.
That was from 1900 to 1956, and there's Austral, Austral. That was 1908 to 1922.
Never heard that one.
Bell's Mill, of course, Benton. Then you had Bentonville.
Well, Bentonville was actually what we call Benton now. And they started the post office there in 1839.
Yeah, that was a 1840 name. Okay. Bonnie, Broad Shoals, Brush Creek, Conesaga, and this is Chable, Chable.
That's close to Jack River.
Chestatee Mill, Columbus, which was original there, Copeland, Copper Mine, Copper Hill, Chicula, that was a good one, Davidson Store, Delano, Ducktown, Farner, Grace, Greasy Creek, Hambright, Helothrop, I probably said that wrong, Heiser, Hickey, Higdon Springs, Hiwassee Copper Mines, Hyatt, Isabella, Kimsey Store, Lead Hill, Lonsville, McKay's, McFarland, Mug. I like that one. Mug.
Yeah, Mug.
Ocoee Tank. I don't know what that is, but Ocoee Tank, and that was from, let's see, when was that there? 1908 to 1909. It was, 19, it wasn't there long. Old Fort, Owens, Parksville, Patty, Peltmont.
Patty's the community down on 411 Highway. They have Patty Church.
Pottsdale, Prendergrass, not Pendergrass, but Prendergrass with a P in R in there. Probst, Probst.
Yeah,
Is that Probst? Red Springs, Reliance, Reimer, Sagetown, Sandhill, Servilla.
I've seen Servilla in close to Candy. That's like Greasy Creek area. I think.
Smith Creek, Springtown, Silico, Turtletown, and Wetmore. That's just
Did you say Farner?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And now some of the postmasters. This was 1850 postmasters. In Benton was William Reynolds. Conesaga was John Kennedy. Columbus.
Didn't he run for president?
Yeah, I think he did later on. Columbus was John White, and predominantly the White Farm that we probably all know from that area. Culchote. Chalute.
Works for me.
Daniel Cook was there. Greasy Creek was Elijah Dodson, some family member back in mine. Ocoa, Ocoa, is James Sloan, and then Springtown, William Morgan. And something I want to talk about that brought to my mind, is Polk County. We've talked about all this other great history, but what about the rock concert they were going to bring there in 1973? The Monster Mash.
I didn't remember the name of it.
That was the name
I
of it.
remember the pictures in the national newspapers
It didn't
that
make
said
it.
Polk.
Yeah. Yes.
They're hitchhiking to Polk.
Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning. I just wanted to say I heard what Bob said.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you how I'm going to fix him.
Uh-oh. He's
I don't
going to
know.
be fixed.
Can you repeat that on the radio?
If Bob Cash will meet me at the courthouse of Polk County and we get married Monday, I'll go find him some land and we'll just see who pays for it.
Okay, what time? We just go ahead and make that up. 9 o'clock?
I'll be there with my camera.
That'd be fine.
9 o'clock Monday on the Courthouse Square steps there in Polk County. Bob Cash and Red's getting married.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we're going to see who buys the land.
And who mows the yard.
That's right.
I'm going to be sitting in Polk County at 9 o'clock Monday morning.
Well, he keeps on poking at me, so I'm going to get him back.
Right.
Okay.
You have laid down the gauntlet.
That's right.
Time to shut up or put up or shut up, right?
Shut up or shut up.
Well, all right. We'll just see who shows up
I
then.
have a question for you.
Go ahead.
How did you get on that panel in the banner that picks the ball games?
Because I'm very good at picking football.
How did Mark Grisham get on it?
I have no earthly idea. He probably...
don't know anything about football.
Well, that's evident, yeah. But I won that last year.
I'm mad about that. I won't on that.
I won that panel last year, matter of fact. You know, I was first place there. I was first place in the WC.
did?
Yes, and I was first place in WCLE. And I finished third here on Whoop by 2 games.
And that's he's done this for 20 years, and it's the first time he'd ever been first.
No, I've won a lot of times.
Okay, Arnold. I know you're sitting there not saying nothing. They took the shackles off them boys last night. You want to put up a bet on them?
I'm not that crazy.
Oh, okay.
Which shackles off the Tennessee boys?
Off the Georgia boys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They was talking about that, so I just thought I'd tell him. They took their shackles off.
Well, they always take the shackles off of them right before the football game, but they'll put them back on afterwards.
I told you they're Georgia boys. What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, after all, Georgia was developed out of a penal colony.
Shackles build up those legs, so make them stronger, right?
That's right.
Yep.
They're going to tire Clemson up.
I hope you're right, because I picked Georgia.
I think everybody did.
I think it's a good chance there.
I do too.
Thanks, Red.
All right, bye.
Always a pleasure.
So if you remember the Monster Mash, the concert.
And which farm? Was that going to be on the Campbell farm or the White farm?
The Judge White's farm, yes. And remember, there's a lot of... I remember that you could not buy a shotgun shell in Bradley County.
Nope.
Seriously. The gun stores and the ammunition was bought out, and there was a lot... And I remember this was the 70s, and people like John Cook and I had long hair, you know, that 70s style. And if you went through Polk County, you wore a hat, and your hair was up in your hat, and you never took your hat off. Because there were people upset about us long-haired types coming to Polk County.
Folks, when you go up to the glider field in Polk County, that big house there where the they make the, what kind of grass is that called? The sod farm now.
There at the
that
Biggs
was
house.
the Biggs house.
Yes.
And the Biggs lived there in the 1940s until he was elected sheriff, and then they had to move into town, into Benton, and left that house. But Mrs. Bryant, that used to teach PE at Bradley, was one of the Biggs girls, and she used to talk about moving into the big city of Benton, that she was a city girl then.
And now, didn't JoJo Collins marry one of the Biggs girls from...
I don't know.
Yeah, Holly Biggs.
Holly, okay.
Yeah. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
I can't believe you got Arnold down there again.
Yeah, ain't that good?
How you doing, Steve Wolf?
I'm doing just fine, WJ. How you doing?
I'm doing real good.
You and John England been camping anymore?
No.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
It is when they go camping.
I'll tell you another. You remember Flea?
Yeah, I remember Flea.
Ron brought up the pines a while ago.
All right, I did.
I got a friend that used to pick up there on Saturday night this over 30 years ago.
Who was that?
Johnny Dalton.
Johnny Dalton.
And he said you and Flea come up. We picked bluegrass. He said, when we take a break, you just can pick one. So they took a break, and they said, you just get up there and pick. Looked at old Flea and said, what you want to pick? And old Dale Suits always told us, look at the crowd to see what they think they'd like. And I said, let's do Rocky Top. We tore out on that thing. Old Flea picked that banjo like nobody's business. Well, the bass player, that crowd was going wild. And the bass player come up there and he started picking with us. Well, then the drummer come back up there. He started picking. Boy, they was getting... If you ever been at the Pines on Saturday night, 30 years ago, you'd know.
Well, it figures you'd be there 30 years ago.
Well, here comes Johnny up there. He got on that electric guitar. And, boy, he just grinding away on it. And them boys, they started, hey, get off of there. Let them boys pick. And Johnny said, this is my band. I'll pick whatever I want to, whenever I want to. Well, the guitar, electric guitar Johnny had, busted one of them over the head. I asked the old boy, I said, where's the back door at? He said, right back this way. We grabbed the guitar in one hand and the banjo and the case in the other, and we went out the back door.
And they ain't
Still running.
And ain't seen me no more.
Ain't never been back.
In the pines.
Yeah. All right, see y'all later.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
I just love our callers.
I need to know, someone was going to be able to tell us who was going to be the headline band at the Monster Mash that's going to be in Polk County. That's 72, 73, 74.
Arnold and I aren't old enough to remember that,
Oh,
Ron.
don't give me that bull.
I wanted to say that we're 99% sure that Matt Bentley's going to come on the show next week with someone from the 6th Cavalry Museum out of Fort Oglethorpe.
Yeah.
And then Arnold Botts and Gary Miller's going to be with us the next 2 weeks.
Arnold's going to talk about the early days of the ambulance
Growing up
service.
in the funeral home.
And Bob Cash, matter of fact, rode in the first organized ambulance service in Bradley County when he jumped out of the airplane and missed. How you missed the ground, I don't know, but good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning.
I think try to call
Try
back there.
again. Sorry. But anyway, we got Arnold Botts coming on talking about growing. He grew up his family lived at the funeral home, and so he'll talk about having to be quiet and respectful while they had someone downstairs. And
congratulations to Arnold on his new appointment there.
Absolutely.
And then Gary Miller's been in 7 or 8 movies.
And our only friend that can read that always comes on when the authors are on, Jim Hodson, has taken retirement, and we wish him good luck with that.
Good
morning.
Hey, good morning. This is RD again.
Hey, RD, what's up, buddy?
Sorry to bother you 2 times.
Are you going to be the witness to the wedding of Red and Bob Cash?
Yeah. I got some apple pie.
All right.
We'll bring that and consummate that there.
Red bud and apple pie.
There you go. Hey, I was just going to let you know that you talking about the Pines.
Yes.
Me and a friend, years ago, 20 years ago, we stopped in there one afternoon. He said, let's go stop in this bar, have a beer. And I've heard stories about this bar. I don't know if I want to go in this bar or not. I'm not from around here. I'm originally from Detroit, and I've still got that little Yankee accent. I don't know if I want to go in this bar or not.
Yeah, Detroit and the Pines are 2 different places.
That's 2 different worlds.
Worlds apart. So we went in there, and I walked in and sat down in this chair, and I hadn't taken 2 sips of beer, and this fella come over, about half in the bag. He said, hey, you're sitting in a dangerous chair, friend. He says, the last fella was sitting in that chair. He was sitting there, and a man walked in the door, and he shot him right in the back. He said, and another time the man was sitting in that chair right there, and some guys walked in and stabbed him 2 or 3 times. Another time the fellow was sitting in that chair, and he got beat up. And I looked at my buddy and looked over at this fellow, and I told that man, I said, you want to change seats with me, pal? I told my friend, I said, man, get out of here, man. We're going to get killed. But I've got another little reference thing for you. There's a website called Gen Disasters, GEN Disasters.com.
Uh-huh.
And it's all kinds of old, you can search state by state and click on Tennessee. And it's all old newspaper clippings from the early 1800s on that detail just disasters that have happened around bridge collapses, train derailments around this area, steamboat race explosions. There was a big steamboat race there by Ross's Landing that one of the boilers blew up and the boat sank right there. But you might find that interesting. There's
good.
A lot of the stations, and you mentioned a thing called tank.
Yes, a koi tank.
Koi tank. That was the water tanks that they would put up, and they'd have to stop and fill the boilers every now and then. A lot of the stations, all them stations had the water tanks every so often. So, but you might find that interesting. Gen Disasters, GEN disasters.com.
I got it written down. I'll look at that this afternoon.
Pretty darn interesting. So, but anyway, sorry to bother you 2 times.
No always.
All right. Yep.
Thank you. Ron, tell everybody about the little documentary that we did on Hardwick Close.
Yeah, we just completed a Hardwick Close documentary, and they got it on Hardwick Close now. They put it on there. It was a 3-minute history that turned out to be 7-minute history covering 100.
You can't tell 134 years in 3 minutes. It's hard to do in 7.
It's a quick snapshot. If you, we all grew up here and knew Hardwick Close and everything, but when you go back and read the history of this, it's pretty amazing. C.L. Hardwick was actually here before this was Bradley County.
He was born in the Cherokee Nation.
So he was pretty amazing that his dad was involved in the not the mission. What is it? The
grandfathers were both part of the removal.
Right. But what do you call that? The agency. Were they involved in that?
Both of the grandfathers
they were involved in
that.
That's why they were in Bradley County. He was born here, and then the disasters that Hardwick went through in the wars and the depression and all that, and still operating today. They got a new owner for the first time at Hardwick. It's not actually
at the
helm of it, but we're
But
glad.
anyway, if you like to see old pictures, when we were talking about the water tank, that reminded me that there's a picture of Hardwick stove actually, and the depot and the train, probably in the 1920s, and it shows a water tank right there, just south of where you drive across the railroad tracks at the old Magic Chef.
Right. Yeah. So, if you get a chance, go to hardwickclothes.com, and if you need a new blazer,
buy you one while you're there.
They actually now, for the first time ever, actually sell their blazers online. So you can order factory direct, and it'll come down the street from the Cleveland to your house, and they usually have some specials on there.
But anyway, Ron and I helped them put that together, so go look at it.
Yeah, and it's worth just looking at the history part of it. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning.
Hey, Brenda. So are you going to tell us a pine story?
I would not be surprised if she doesn't have one.
I've never been inside the pines, but boy, I've heard a lot of stories.
It was kind of a rough place.
The stories from the parking lot?
Yeah.
Did I hear the stories from the parking lot?
No, you probably made the stories from the parking lot.
She was down in that bar down there in Georgia all the time. What was it, down in Ringo or Rossville?
Go ahead, Brenda. We're sorry. We're just picking at you today.
That's all right. First of all, I want to say hello to Seawolf.
Hello.
How you doing?
I've been doing fine. How are you?
Oh, that's good. I'm doing okay. I was going to sing In the Pines when y'all picked up the phone, and I got off track. Oh, Law. I just wanted to say that when I was a little kid and we used to ride up through Polk County, it was like leaving this earth and going to another planet.
Well, I remember going to relatives' homes up there and watching somebody sweep the yard and thinking that was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And that's something that the older women that we were recording are talking about, that their mama made them go out and sweep the yard.
Yeah, I've seen them sweeping the yard before when I've been up there. And we used to just get out riding on an afternoon on the weekend, and we'd just ride up through there, just ride anywhere. My daddy loved to go riding on the weekends, and we'd all sing. But anyway, it was just like going to another planet almost, because all you could see was all those red fields and hills, and there was not a bit of greenery nowhere. But I always really enjoyed going up through there.
My dad always used to threaten every time we rode up through there. He said, "Yeah, we just need to move back up here." I said, no.
I went up through all the time, but for a much different reason than all of you went through there. On Sundays or on Saturdays, we'd get in the car with my dad. We'd drive to Copper Hill, through Copper Hill, North Carolina, and buy a trunkload of cigarettes.
Oh, that was done too.
I remember that.
Yeah, because, the cigarettes, there was no tax or something on there, and then it was like, I always had this impression that the police were going to be sitting at the line, stopping cars, and I'm sitting there scared to death, sitting on 800 cigarettes, going, oh my God.
We did the same thing because my daddy always smoked. And I remember, now that you mentioned that, I remember years ago, there was some kind of a little old restaurant up there near where they sold the cigarettes. And we'd stop and get a hamburger. And then they'd just load the trunk down with cigarettes.
Oh, yeah, they'd put them everywhere.
You go across...
I used to be afraid, too, because they'd be talking about, the cigarettes not having a band on them or whatever.
The stamp. Didn't have the stamp on them.
Yeah. And I was just a kid, and I'd think, well, won't we get in trouble? And I'd be scared till we got home.
You drive up 64, go through Copper Hill, Ducktown, go through Isabella to the top of the ridge going into North Carolina. The store was on the right.
Yes.
You got
there was
it.
one on the left, too, pretty
And
big one on the road.
It had big signs saying no Tennessee tax and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah, it had it up there.
Boy, that brought back a lot of memories, because I remember them doing that a lot when I was a kid. And people just don't get out and ride around like they used to.
Well, now, Brenda, that riding around had a purpose. You just didn't realize it.
Well, and then also gasoline was 25, 26, 27 cents a gallon. Now it's $3. I don't know what it is. $3 a whole lot.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And then no one cared how much. Did you know how many miles per gallon you got back when in the 50s, 60s, and 70s?
No, I haven't.
I have no idea how many miles per gallon I got.
I didn't even pay attention, because back then I didn't care. I wasn't paying for it.
Well, that was a funny thing. We'd go on trips. And I'm not just talking about riding around town or run Chattanooga back, but we go on trips, and Dad and Mom would actually calculate the fuel mileage.
Oh, yeah, my dad did that, too.
And it was not that different from what it is today. It has not changed that much.
Except it was just cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cost was cheaper.
And you put more lead in your car.
I remember the first date I ever had with my husband, my first husband. He stopped and got a quarter's worth of gas. And I should have known then he was a cheapskate.
You was only worth a quarter of
I never got a quarter worth. I got $1 many times, though.
I was talking to Brian that called in a few minutes ago, and I was talking to him off the air, and he said that his mom and dad met in Copper Hill, and they went to Ducktown for their first date. Yeah. And his mom's still alive. I hope that she'll let us record her.
Well, we got married in Murphy, North Carolina, and my first husband had a friend up there, Danny Mundy, and they lived up there, and he'd gone to school with Danny, and we drove over to their house after we got married, and his mama, they had a bunch of leftovers from supper, and she heated them up, and she said, "This is going to be your wedding supper." 'Cause we slipped off, and then Danny thought it was funny to ride us around all night long. And he wouldn't take us nowhere. He just kept riding us around. But
and you were sleepy.
Yeah, I was sleepy. Back then, I didn't need a whole lot of sleep.
What year would that have been, Brenda?
68.
68.
I was 15.
Oh my gosh, you broke your mom and daddy's heart.
15. Oh Lord, 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 Lord. It was awful.
Oh, I can imagine that because I know your family.
Daddy was not happy.
Oh my.
How old was your husband?
20.
Oh my. Ooh.
Ooh. She liked them older men.
16 a month after we got married, but
that don't matter. I'm sure your daddy had plenty to say about that.
He did, but my mother had more.
I would have probably surmised that.
And I'm sure that at some point in time she said, "I told you so."
Oh, yeah, she's well, she's just glad I'm not married to him anymore, but you know, I had grown up an only child, and I'd always been around older kids, and I always sat in the room with adults when they were talking and stuff, and I thought I was grown.
Yeah, well.
And that's the way kids are. I mean, but now my son and my grandchildren, they're all a lot. When I was a teenager, I was just more mature back then than they were.
Well, they think they're mature now too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brenda.
And you walked to school in the snow.
No,
we know all those stories.
No, I was more mature back then than I am now.
I could believe that too. All right, thanks, Brenda. We'll see you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Ron just put up a picture of the old Polk County Courthouse, and if I'm not mistaken, that building burned. Does that sound right, Arnold?
Yeah, I think it probably did.
And someone said that the block wall is around that building is in this picture, though.
That's still around the courthouse.
The current courthouse, I think, was built by the CCC or WPA or something like that.
1930s.
What a wonderful federal program that was. The WPA, CCC, all of those things. Well, you know, there's always people that'll take advantage of free monies, but that's the people that put out the picnic tables.
And, those block walls all through the Cherokee National Forest or through the national park up there. If you go through there, that's all WPACC.
Those big cut board. I mean,
got another caller.
Rocks.
Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron, I wanted to tell you, Miss Debbie, good morning. I love you.
Well,
all righty. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Can you tell me where there's money?
No. I thought he was going to say, send me hot slaw.
That would help too. Folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can see the pictures that we put up behind us, and you can also chat with us in the chat room. You can call us here at 614-5553. We're talking about Polk County today. Special guest coming here is Arnold Tarpley, and we're talking about any part of Polk County that you want to talk about, from the river all the way up to Springtown.
To the Pines.
And if anybody remembers what the bands were going to be at the rock concert in the 72, 73, 74, I can't remember what year it was exactly.
I was thinking it was more like 71. No, it was after 70.
It was after I graduated. So, and it would be... but what the bands was, and it was going to be called the Monster Mash, if I'm not mistaken. Good morning, you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Len Moore. I was wondering, Ron or Debbie, what do you think the EPA or TDEC would do if we tried to open the gin slough back up?
I have no idea. Tell me what's going on with the gin slough right now.
I don't know. I guess it's fenced up, but I remember as a kid, my dad taking us over there, and while he would pull down in the river and wash the car.
Oh yes, that's what you did.
Yeah, he would open the trunk, and the kids would use the trunk as a diving board because evidently the springs on the car was So it could car bounce and bounce off the trunk into the water because he'd back up over the deep part of the gin slough.
Well, the only thing I remember is the water. If I'm thinking of the right place, the water off of the farm would go into a place below where the public put in, but the last time I heard anything, whoever owned the property just went ahead and fenced it up because people are so impolite now.
I know there at 411 there was a cutoff that you could go down into the Conasauga River, just like over on the Spring Place side when you went out of Bradley County into Georgia there. On those bridges right there was a pull-off. You could drive down in there and go fishing and stuff, but they've closed all that off now, too.
Yeah, it's just people have gotten... I was at... I believe it was at Wendy's the other day out on Dalton Pike, and someone had just pulled up there and just dumped all the trash out of their car on the grass. And I think that's what the people who were trying to be nice and leave it open was running into. And you're so liable now because people will just come on your property and then they sue you when they fall down.
Did you swim at Busted Rock?
I have.
Did you go?
There. I mean, like I said, my dad grew up in Conestoga.
Who was your dad?
Bobby Moore.
Okay. I think I've talked to Bobby quite a bit.
Well, there's two of them, though, that live down there.
Is he related to the Dunns?
He is.
Okay.
Well, I think everybody over
Everybody's a Dunn.
Well, yeah, I'm related to Dunn's and
and his oldest brother, Buford, was the engineer on the wood train, that went up and down up the mountain. I guess picked up the wood or what.
Was that the short dog?
I guess, yeah.
No, the short dog is what they would run on Sundays from the depot at Tinga down to Conestoga and back. It was just like one little. It was kind of like a bus. I mean, it was just one little wagon or something behind the train that people would ride on.
Did you cut?
He's coming over second, and he'll be 86 on Tuesday. So every Labor Day we celebrate his birthday.
Well, absolutely.
Well, congratulations.
We always get some good stories from him.
Did you jump off the bridge at Easley Ford?
I jumped off the bridge at Easley Ford. We used to swim there north of 411. There's a little hole there you put in at.
Yep.
I think we're going to lose the bridge at Easley Ford here pretty soon. I think they're getting all the bridges, the ones on 411 and the one on Spring Place, fixed. The double bridge going into Georgia's been fixed down there in Polk County. And then they're working on one there on 411. Ron and I got down there the other day and had to detour through the country, which was beautiful. Yeah. But I think that when they get those done, Easley Ford is a one-lane bridge. It's
I think
80 years old.
The bridge there at 411.
Put a bridge beside it and save that.
That would be nice.
Well, and they tried really hard, and I will give the T-Dot or whoever it is credit. They went to the Historical Society and said, would you like this bridge? Well, it's kind of hard to do something with a bridge that big. Although I did see one down in Alabama that had been sliced into pieces, and then they just set them on the ground like in the parks and stuff for benches. But I know that it'd take a lot of money and effort to save it.
Yeah, I got baptized down in the pond.
I sure did too. That water's cold, isn't it?
My grandpa.
A little dirty too.
My grandpa told me about driving a team of mules and a wagon across the Conestoga River when it froze over so hard that you could do that back in like 1900.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Daddy, on the other side of that baptism, Daddy talks about there was a bar, I guess, either Conestoga or Tinga, that he said it was called
the Stagger Inn.
The Stagger Inn?
That was right there on the Tennessee-Georgia line, and everybody wants to talk about you. Well, if you didn't stagger in, you certainly staggered out.
He's talked about that. Yeah.
And I understand, folks, that there's a new little restaurant that's opened up in Tinga that's trying to make it. I think it's the 411 Cafe. Yeah. And the people on Facebook give it good reviews. Go down and support those people.
Yeah, I've got my cousin Kenneth Moore, who grew up right there on the first house in Georgia, I guess, on the 411. He goes in there quite often. He likes it.
Yeah, I believe Kenneth has taken me around Murray County and showed me cemeteries and stuff before.
Yeah, that's him. He's a...
Well, I'm related to all those Dunns and the Moores and the Hayeses, and I think the Hayes daughters, which married my grandfather Epperson, also married into the Moore family.
Well, yes. On my side, my grandmother was a Dunn, Lenny Dunn.
Yes.
And her sister, her sister actually married a Dunn from the other side of my family, so we Dunn.
Yes, they did.
Well, that's
they were
hello, double cousins.
Yeah, they were the children of Reverend James Dunn.
Right. Yeah, that's it, and that's how Kenneth. I mean, there's a Dunn reunion. We got to ask what side of the family is it on.
Yeah. There's 2 Dunn reunions in Murray County about this time of year, and I've yet to make it to any of those.
Yeah, that should be coming up. We just lost one of them, Floyd Dunn or F.L. Dunn.
Yes.
Passed away about 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
He was up in Maryville.
I remember that. And there's a big Dunn reunion, too, also up in Townsend where they originally came from. Exactly. I do not have, and your dad, I know, bought some of my books. I made a Dunn family scrapbook that kind of tells the history of the people up in Townsend and the people down in Murray County, Georgia, and I'm working right now to get that reprinted. And I know there's several people waiting on one, and I'm sorry, I've been busy.
We probably need to get him on because he needs to talk Polk County. If he can talk professional wrestling because he used to wrestle that stuff years and years.
Is this Bobby?
That was Bobby, yeah.
Will you tell him that is he on Facebook?
He is.
Okay, will you tell him that I'm going to contact him and the two of you are going to come in and do the show with us?
I don't know about me. My sister Claudette could do it better than I could.
Okay, well, you volunteer somebody.
She knows more. She's older.
All right. We won't tell her you said that.
Okay.
Bye, dear. Thank you.
Yeah, if you get down around Tinga, most likely we're related. That's the way that goes. But my favorite part of Tinga, you go into Tinga and there's a big sign there that says lots for sale. Call Bob.
no
telephone number.
No.
If you're in Tinga, you know that's Bob.
I said, turn around, go back. And he said, why? I said, I'm going to take a picture of that sign. What's so special about it? And I said, wait till you see it. And we turned around and went back, and it said, for sale or lease. Call Bob.
The old fort, of course, was a fort area, right? And
it was. Well, see, Andrew Jackson came in there in the early 1800s and put his arm around the Indians' shoulders and said, let us build you a road. Trust me. And you can get your products out to everybody, and you'll become rich. Well, he didn't quite mention to him that I can get my armies down into the middle of the Indian Nation on this same Old Federal Road. And I'm so proud of Polk County for keeping that name, Old Federal Road, on the road that's there now, and that helps it not get lost. But I think the old road came across comes across 411 Highway, and then it turns into Bonerges Church Road, and it would come out at Easley Ford. And at Easley Ford, you took a ferry, you paddled yourself across. Something that came up a while ago, and I meant to mention it when someone was talking about the steamboats blowing up at Ross's Landing. During the Civil War, and during the removal too, there was a ferry. Obviously, there would be ferries there at the river, but one of them had a big wheel, like a hamster wheel on it, and they had a blind horse in it that did the walking, that turned the paddles, that made it go across the river.
Yep.
And that's in the Harper's Ferry newspaper. I saw that, and I said, well, I hope they didn't make that poor old horse go blind, and it just happened to be blind. But they said they'd have to have that to keep it from
went blind
panicking.
from walking in circles.
Yeah, this
Good
is true.
morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, this is T-Bandy.
Hey, Mr. Bandy, what's up?
I got a fish truck coming the 27th of September
Okay.
at 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock. And if you need fish, you can call T at 478-2405.
That's right. Or
All righty.
6918.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, T.
I'd like to have everybody who can come down there.
Hey, come buy some fish from T, and it's not fried.
And you could pre-order or you can get them there. What's the number, T?
Tell it again.
478-2405.
All right.
If
Thank
you
you,
need
sir.
fish for your ponds or your lakes, that's where to go right there. Thank you, T.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, T.
You know, the Bradley Farmers Co-op, just to change the subject here for a minute, what a wonderful asset to this community. I went down the other day and had to pick up some stuff, and they still provide good service, and they still load it in your car for you, and are happy to have you shop there. So everybody, you don't have to be a farmer to shop there. Go see them.
You're listening to Whoop FM Old Town Cleveland. We're talking about Polk County today. You can go online here at www.whoopfm.com and ask your question online, and we'll try to answer it. Or you can call us here at 614-553. If you got any question or any story that involves Polk County, Tennessee, can you tell me where you got your moonshine at in Polk County? Somebody told us that, and I know. What was it? Moochie Cronin was the big... Moochie Cat Cronin was the big moonshiner.
She was a female, yes.
She was the big
she tried to
moonshiner, and that comes out of the Tennessee history books.
Yeah, she was involved in a raid, and the federal agents were there, and they were looking for moonshine, and one of them was looking down in her rain barrel, and she gave him a good push and about drowned him in the barrel.
She grabbed him by his hand.
How the story goes.
They was thought that she may have been hiding her moonshine down in the bottom of the rain barrel, so he's leaned over or sticking his head down there in his arms, and she grabbed him by his ankles and sort of stuck his head down in there, and he about drowned before he got out of that rain barrel. So,
Yep.
that's some of the stories you.
Well, and Doc German tells of his mom's uncles, I think, were up around, I think it was maybe Greasy Creek, and there was 4 or 5 of them made moonshine inside a cave up there. And then, that way you only had to kind of guard the opening.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say they were Higdons or Higgins.
I bet the bats loved that.
Yeah. Make you fly crooked.
There's one part of Polk County that there's several parts of Polk County. We all know Benton, Ducktown, Copper Hill, Turtletown. One place we haven't mentioned today.
Oh, no, what's that?
Tumbling Creek.
Pumpkin Creek?
Tumbling Creek.
Tumbling Creek.
I never heard. Where is Tumbling Creek?
There's Tumbling Creek Campground, which I think closed a few years ago, but you go into, headed into Copper Hill. There's a road that turns to the right before you get to where the old company store used to be, and you follow that over back in there, and that goes into Tumbling Creek community, which is in the lower left corner, in the corner of the state lines and everything. And you can actually go through from there to Jacks River and Conesaga on some of the Forest Service roads. But there's its own little area back in there, which is very interesting to go into.
Never been there. Have you ever drove over the Kimsey Highway?
Yes, I have.
Now, I understand that that you don't want to take your good car through there now.
Right now, based off what Keith has told me about it, you pretty much want to have at least all-wheel drive, if not four-wheel drive or SUV type vehicle to go through there.
Extra food and gasoline.
Be sure you got a full tank.
Yeah.
Yes. My World War II veteran that I interviewed said my 66-year-old son took me across the Kimsey Highway, and he said that when he was a little boy, there wasn't a river road that you could really travel because we all know that they dammed up the river and that covered the road, and so there wasn't full access to any place else from up on the mountain, so you had to go across the Kimsey Road. And he was saying that, and I said, boy, I bet that was a rough ride. And he said, yes, it was when he was a little boy. And he said it's still a rough ride, but every year, once a year, they go across the mountain to kind of commemorate his travels. If you want to see the loop that's up on the train, you can catch the train in you don't catch the train in Etowah, you catch it at G Creek.
Right.
The O train.
But you have to
O-line.
The O-line. You have to buy your ticket through the Chattanooga Railroad Museum, and then go up to Etowah, and they will bring you in a van down to G Creek.
At the Overhill, there at the old train
Overhill
depot.
Experience.
Yes, and I had asked the Overhill folks to come in today to talk about all of the stuff up in that area. I'm really interested in the Fort Armistead that they have. It's probably one of the most pristine forts in America. I mean, the government has it under 24-hour surveillance to keep people out of there. And they're going to try to make it like a national historic site or something that we can go see after they get it all preserved and stuff. But they're digging up all the foundations and stuff there. And the Unicola Highway is a story in itself. And here in the last 2 or 3 years, someone has done all of the research to prove that the Trail of Tears left Murphy, North Carolina, went across the Unicola Highway and came out in Athens.
And there was a Dutch settlement in Polk County. We've done a show on it 3 or 4 years ago, but it was a group. Were they German or they were Dutch? I guess Dutch and German.
Well, I'm thinking that the Dutch was kind of just may have not been exactly correct, but it was. I don't remember now, but there was a diary written, and I remember the lady coming in, and she's probably listening today. That had given.
No, there's no pictures.
No, there's no pictures,
and there is no road to get there. If you want to get there, you'll have to find someone who knows where it is, and then be ready to walk and be ready to fight off bear and
the
snake.
the Cherokee National Forest really does not want us going in there.
Yeah, and there's not much left there. They were round huts, and it was supposed to be a utopia. They were going to grow grapes and make wine up there, and literally, if you wanted a remote area. This was a remote area, and it's remote
and
today.
Thankfully, one of the ladies out of there, and I can't remember her name right now, she came into Cleveland and was taken up there, and she wrote a diary about her adventures there, which really helps us a lot to know what happened there. Mr. Beckler is in his 80s. He lives in Polk County. his grandfather lived there. Now, that's how far out we're getting now. They didn't really even know that the Civil War was going on there because they were so remote. I think that we did a pretty good show one time on the Civil War as it related to Polk County, and basically all the stuff that went on up there was the guerrilla type stuff and the ambushes and all that kind of stuff because the armies and stuff weren't up there. There was, the railroad wasn't.
What was the name of the group? We had the author of the book come in about the raiders that came through there.
Gatewood,
yeah.
He was very interesting. And I went up to the top of Chilhowie not too long ago to see if the Confederate marker was still there, and it's there, and the National Forest has put a shelter over it, and someone took the time, when we don't know, and they carved the names of all the people that were killed there in the ambush, and that's why they have the Confederate campground there. And it's pretty interesting to see that old rock that somebody probably, I don't know what they carved it with, but it was just a huge rock that has all these names on it and stuff. So that's worth seeing. I hadn't been to Chilhowie in a number of years, and the lake and everything looked great. Yeah. Just kind of drove around one day.
And that's something that I used to do quite a bit was I'd go to Chilhowie, go down the backside and come out in the Reliance side, go over and take the Kimsey Highway and go over. It's some neat places to see. You're in a remote area. You can actually get an idea of what travel was
pretty
like.
Amazing how far you can see. Yeah. And you think about the people that originally put those roads and stuff in. A lot of them were just where the cattle and stuff walked. That's something I started talking about a while ago. Benton was right on the old stock highway too, and basically, it was kind of like heard in the cowboy movies before the trains and things came through. You'd have to drive your animals to market. And so that's one of the things, the Cherokees, when they went on the removal, especially the Bell route that I'm so familiar with, they followed one of the old stock trails over that went across the bottom of Tennessee.
Who was the predominant Cherokees there? I mean, they had reservations like, we had Jack Walker here and John Ross. Was it?
They had Old Hop was there, and you had one main village there at Savannah, which is where you go to turn to the winery. Matter of fact, you can still see the old mound there that was there before the Cherokees is still there. But that was the village of Savannah, and that is where we have documentation that DeSoto was there. Yeah. That there were stories written on the DeSoto side and the Indian side, both that indicated it was in that area. And there's a tree farm now there during the week when the tree farm's open. You can drive up and you can see the backside of that mound. It's just going to look like a naked big old hill to most of us. It's flat on top.
Some of the names that some of the Cherokee names was like Old Billy Baker, Calhoun, Myers, Wash Price, and then some of the early settlers that come in there where they got land from the Ocoee land purchase were names like David Dale Knox, William Biggs,
Elijah Clayton,
Nuja Taylor, Stephen Blankenship, the Boyds, McClarys, Whites, Harbinsons, Colemans, Canisters, Hoods, again, Lillards, and Morris. I just started showing you some of those names.
Yeah, my Lingerfelt family was
it's a long
one
list
of the
here.
first families,
I'm just glancing through there real quick. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron.
Good morning.
I really enjoyed your program this morning, as I do every Saturday morning, but I love all this history you guys talk about, and I know there is a historical society here in Cleveland. I just wondered, how do you get into that?
Okay. They meet 4 times a year. And they're, I believe they met in April and July, and so I think it'll be October or November. But the very next activity coming up is the last Sunday in October. They will have our Fort Hill Cemetery tour. Okay. I have a friend coming all the way from Oklahoma this year to see it. That's how I mean, it's $5. The kids from Lee, the senior history students from Lee, find a family, they research them, they get their friends to stand out by the graves and portray those people.
Okay.
And sometimes it's, adults from the community, too, that do that. But you'll learn a lot of history. And this year they're focusing on the Confederate families.
Oh, boy.
And so you go to the Boys and Girls Club and you park. A van will take you up to the top of the hill and drop you off. A guide will take you through the cemetery from place to place. Ron and I have gone for years, and we love it. And it just... that's the best way for us to tell our history is in that old historic cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
But we would love for you to be involved.
What's the membership is to be in the society?
Oh, it's $10 a year or something.
Right.
It's, and they meet typically at the library in the community room. Even if you're not a member, we always invite you. Okay. And watch the newspaper, too. Go up to the Charleston Calhoun Historical Society. They meet on Sunday afternoons, too. They meet almost every month of the year, and it's usually in the I See by the Banner, and I try to remember to announce it here, too, and they have really good programs about local history. Polk County has a historical society, too. They'd love to have you come visit with them. They're up at the Baptist Church on 411 Highway.
Okay.
So there's lots of history stuff going on here. You just have to listen to us and show up. We went over a couple of weekends ago, and they shot off the cannons at Fort Hill Cemetery, and they told the history of the depot there as it related to the Civil War, and it was standing room only.
Okay.
And also the Polk County Historical Society, one of the most organized historical societies in the area, and they meet at the First Baptist Church, I believe it is, one of the Baptist churches.
First Baptist.
And they have usually great programs there, too.
We went one time to show the history of Caney Creek, and it was, there was a tornado watch out.
Oh, boy.
It was hailing, it was raining, the wind was blowing. We still had 100 people show up to watch that video. We got so tickled because we thought we'd be the only ones hiding there in the building. But we'd love to have you join us.
I would like to. So.
And it's just simple, friendly folks.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Bye-bye.
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 Oh, my goodness, it's already 12 o'clock.
Yes. Well, Arnold, got any final thing you want to say?
I just had a lot of fun.
Well,
learned a few things.
Thank you for coming in today. We always enjoy having you as a guest. And Arnold did the right thing. He went ahead and made me copies of the pictures that I might use in this Copper Hill thing. And it's family pictures. I got pictures of the mines and stuff, but I want pictures of those faces.
Yeah, this is about the people, not the mines. This is about the people. And if you have old home movies or of you or your relatives having a birthday party with those red hills behind it, or a picture of you sweeping, if you have old home movies that shows the red dirt behind you, I don't care what the subject matter is, it's the fact is you lived among those red hills. That's the story we're trying to tell. Or it
may be that they're in black and white, but that's
I'm
okay.
Sure well, that'd be great too.
The museum up there is helping us a lot with the mining pictures, but we need the people pictures, and we want to include your family in it. Even if we don't talk about your family, we want to show the pictures of them. Yeah. So please,
any picture of anyone who lived there. They did not have to be miners. If you lived in the Copper Hill area, if the picture shows you in the Copper Hill, it makes it better. But if it's a picture of them and they lived in Copper Hill, we're going to try to include them in the video. It's going to be a 53-minute video, knock on wood. We hope it's that short because that gives us a chance to possibly get it on a PBS program. So,
yeah.
All right.
Folks, thanks. We'll see you next week. We'll have Matt Bentley here talking about Bendabout Farm, which is another Indian name from this area. And we'll have somebody from the 6th Cavalry here talking about the polo events coming up and the history of the 6th Cavalry out of Fort Oglethorpe.
Right.
And then got a couple more shows lined up for you coming up this fall. Thank you so much for always saying hello to us and telling us how much you enjoy the show.
And as always, we tell you, get the pictures from out of the drawers, out of the shoe boxes, get someone in the family, get us some white labels, write down who's in those pictures. Make copies of them, share them with Facebook, bring them down here to Old Town Cleveland, make copies, and we will, or bring, if you got them on disc, scan them all, put them on disc, and we share them. It's nothing that we want to hold on to forever. We want to share it with everybody because that picture might mean the world to someone else. That might be your grandfather's best friend sees that picture, or you will shopped at that store or that location. So do that. It's up to you to save history And every day someone dies, we lose a little bit more history. And we'll always remember what happened at Pearl Harbor. But, Deb?
Well, we remember Aunt Pearl, and we found her love letters recently.
Oh.
They all say Dear Pearl on them. That's a whole nother story.
And my Aunt Pearl worked at the New York City restaurant in Copper Hill.
There you go. We love Aunt
my
Pearl.
Aunt Pearl, 99 years old.
You guys have a great week, and we'll see you
died.
next Saturday.
Bye-bye now.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it on north of here in the shopping mall. Ooh, where'd the old town go? Did my hometown get old? Or just me? Did all my friends get old? Or just me? Are they all gonna have to be told? Or just me?
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Check into Cash.
Turn your car into cash at Check Into Cash.
Get an auto